So like I got to my parents' house and it got really late, and as a result, it's late. um, yeah. So I guess tonight, what are my goals? My goals are one, I want to start looking at a second part to Night Watch One and start writing that and working on it with guitar. I am going to use my normal guitar. I've been using my baritone and trying to maybe do little riffs or something like that. Um, because I was listening to the Liturgy EP that I'm looking it up, things that I've listened to lately. I was listening to the Liturgy. Oh, looks like Spotify Wrapped is out. Immortal Life 2. I was listening to Immortal Life 2, and she does sort of like these alternations with layering that are like very simple, kind of like riff based. I don't even know if you would call them riffs. So simple riff based stuff combined with like the black metal textures that I've kind of been working on. And I think I'm headed in the right direction. And I guess like I'm kind of using Immortal Life 2 as like a guide to like how to create the textures because it's really recorded clearly. You can hear the drums really clearly, and it's like solidly the kind of like sort of progressive black metal stuff I want to hear. There were two other bands that I'm kind of using as inspiration as kind of like close listening material. One of them is Thy Catalaup. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like a Hungarian avant-garde metal band, but they obviously take a lot of just because I'm looking for stuff that doesn't like destroy their audio with like heavy spring compression or heavy spring reverb or like whatever, because if you can't really hear the drums, you don't really know what's going on texture wise. You don't know like how the two things are interacting. I listened to a Tra sort of like EP split thing. So Tra is like TRHA with an umlaut band. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But Die Macht der Fanflamme. And I think this is like one of the most amazing albums I have like heard from like a black metal sound design perspective. There's so many interesting synth instruments in this album in the way that they're incorporated. There's stuff that's like kind of singer-songwritery. There's stuff that's like very sort of like even like synth sounds that you wouldn't expect. Things that sound kind of like I don't know. I don't know what it's like. A sound that I would associate with like a Petzold bass recorder, like wind sounds. Sort of like here. I'll try to imitate it. Like the sounds that I'm hearing are kind of like sputato. You know, um, I like wind sputato, but somehow I think like synthesized, and a lot of like FM synth, sort of like almost like 80s sounding like bells and things like bell like leads and things like that. This is like a big thing that I'm going to give a few listens to because it's very exciting. So then Immortal Life 2, I talked a little bit about that catalog, and there's like one other prog black metal band that I want to listen to for drum stuff because their drum sound is very simple and very clear and being able to and very copyable. Um, so being able to like look at that and copy that and having like solid drums that I can program easily will come in handy. So this is all stuff to look at. So that's my first thing is like, okay, we're working on the first track. I don't know why I was talking about inspiration so much. Then the second thing is I want to try to like work on this like keyboard composition a little bit more, and that's probably it. If I can achieve all of that in, let's say, 90 minutes, maybe a 45-45 split, or like a 1 hour 30-minute split, heavy on guitar, lighter on keyboard composition, because I know how to compose for keyboard, and I just want to keep that train of thought moving every sleep period. And that's it. And I'm just going to go and do that, and then I'll talk about what happened, I don't know, like at 2 a.m. or something. It's terrifying. All right, bye. Okay, so this is like my second take on this, because the first time I was picking at my ear a lot and it was actually kind of gross, and I didn't like watching it, and I'm going to put this on YouTube, and I don't want other people to watch it. I don't think anyone's actually going to watch this. However, I'm still posting it publicly, so it's a little bit awkward. It's a little bit awkward. Anyways, to summarize, one, it's late. I worked longer than I thought I would work, and as a result, I'm very tired and it's very late. I played, so I did, I think I mentioned I was going to not play the baritone, I was going to play a standard guitar, and I played standard guitar, and it's so much fun. And the tone is so much brighter, and like the tone being like low and deep and kind of like chuggy versus the standard guitar, which is like brighter. It just makes for like a nice contrast, and it feels like you're playing a whole new instrument, even though you're basically doing the same thing. And it's fun. It's just it's fun to play a smaller instrument. I feel like I'm a little bit. It's easier to like move around. What even was that? Okay, it looks like it was mostly my glasses. Anyways, right. So I basically just played around with the guitar. I didn't really do anything else, which I said I would do other things, but I didn't end up doing it. I think my main goal is to get better at guitar. And I think by like doing things that kind of stretch my capabilities, writing things that stretch my capabilities, I will improve a guitar. And I'm not really interested in improving like writing 4-part harmony. I did that in college. I don't need to do it again. And things like that. And I can just sort of continue on these ideas, and like it's better to work on one thing at a time. Injury wise, playing guitar for like 2 hours and really focusing and concentrating on like actions where you're doing the same movement over and over again, mechanically it's not good for me. And just because I haven't been playing guitar for very long, and I haven't really built up like the strength for tremolo. And this is one thing that kind of concerns me about the project, is like, am I going to get an injury? But I feel good now. I felt good during the session. I bet I'm going to be sore tomorrow. And I stretch out, and if I stretch out and I feel sore, and if I stretch out and I feel okay, I think that that's good. So the idea is just to like feel good and to like build some amount of like, because there's some amount of muscle, there's some amount of like tendon strength, which I think has to just be done through normal strength training, which I'm doing. And it takes a lot to maintain oneself to play a musical instrument at like any kind of level where people would be interested in listening to you, or at least I think it does. Or I'm overestimating how good you have to be to, I don't know. Anyways, still, for this specifically, I do think you need some conditioning, which means all of the things I've been listing. Anyways, what I ended up doing was I wrote a guitar phase. What is a guitar phase? A guitar phase is, well, specifically what this is you have one repeating kind of, I don't want to say ostinato, because I feel like that's like a silly word that people who don't really know very much about music use. You have two repeating lines of guitar, and they're sort of metrically different, so that they take up different number of bars, so that they need to repeat and eventually come into phase. So you get these permutations of different sort of harmonic changes, and then there's like ebb and flow, and then there's some interesting tonal clashes. So there's like ebb and flow between like dissonance and consonance, but it's not really purposeful. So it's not giving the sense of like a build up. And I think I haven't said this, but like one thing that I think it's kind of called is like it's not goal oriented, right? We're not looking for a goal. We're not looking for like a chordal progression, right? We're looking to create interest in music through the repetition of lines, basically a process. We've defined a process and we're executing the process, and the musical interest comes through how the process is executed. And I think I've mentioned that like I want an inspiration in this album to kind of be like mid-century minimalism, last century, not this century, because that's the future and that hasn't happened yet. And this is a technique that they use. So this isn't really like, I don't know if it's really phase, but it's kind of hinting at it. And I think that I would really like to make like a true phase at some point in the album. I don't know if I can technically do it, but definitely through like time stretching, it's not that hard to do digitally. I'm fantasizing about being able to play these live solo, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to ignore a phase line enough to even like play with a click track, like proper phase. But it's possible to do maybe like a quarter note phase or something that sort of approximates it. I want to talk a little bit about my hopes for like how the album is presented, because music is sort of interesting because people don't really listen to music, right? Because we have other things that grab our attention. Nobody really sits down and listens to music. So instead, like, our attention is mostly focused on my tables falling apart and I'm trying to fix it. Our attention is mostly focused on things that are like both audio and visual. So we kind of need like both stimuli. And I find myself sort of like falling victim to this kind of thing where like I need like both. So like it's hard to just like read even because like our attention spans have just like been destroyed. So I want to create kind of a visual artifact that goes along with the album, and I thought like a zine is good, and if it's like the theme of the current phase of life that I'm in, it's just like make a zine. Some people might say I don't really read zines, and that's like true, but I feel like creating a little zine, even though I'm not a person who reads zine, is like on it's on brand for like the kind of person who makes zines. It's like a zine reader adjacent person. So like what is and it will provide a sense of narrative, because I'm thinking in narrative terms about the structure, and I'm thinking in terms of characters, the radio operator, the night watchman. I'm thinking that there's going to be some kind of like lieutenant or like like military sort of military commander who's going to have some relevance. There's going to be a character, I think, who dies, and that's going to be kind of the inciting incident for sort of like something interesting to happen and the plot to sort of progress. So I'm thinking in narrative terms. It's sort of like operatic or like musical, theatrical, or something like that. Lost my train of thought. But the idea is that there's not going to be much textually there to guide the performer. So I think creating a zine would be good. And if the zine was a little bit more creative, if it had like visual elements that aren't just text, I think that could be really cool. But I don't really want to make drawings for it. So maybe I could ask somebody to do that. And I think it would be really cool to create kind of an artifact out of this album. So I could have like a cassette. It's kind of what I'm imagining is you would have a cassette tape, and then the zine would be wrapped around it, and there would be like a rubber band, and you could just go and you could like, I would like put that out somewhere, and then there'd be maybe like a QRS code, and you could like pay me $5 and then like take the object, or not. You could just take it. I wouldn't know. Then what else am I thinking? I had like another thing that I wanted to talk about in here that was related to all of this, but I don't know if I do. I've been like seriously yapping, but I don't know. I think that might be it. But I would kick myself if I just stopped and I had more to say, because I like saying things, I guess. But I don't know. I guess that is it, and I will just end it here because I've been going on for a long time. So good night.